Hi everybody, I'm Jeff with Virginia Paranormal Investigations. Tonight we're down here in historic Yorktown, and if you've noticed, there are a plethora of people down here tonight. And the reason for this, if some of you are not aware, is the Pokemon Go game. And this is something that is drawing people out to historic sites to find Pokemon, right? Now, this caused me to pose a question. What about the extra traffic that's coming through supposedly haunted locations such as Yorktown? It's a very haunted city. It's got many haunted locations, and its spirits just come out at night and roam the streets. And there's been so many reports of ghosts and eerie sightings down here. Now, with all this extra traffic and all these people coming through this somewhat sacred ground, could this be stirring up the activity? Another thing that could contribute to the spiritual activity down here in Yorktown is everyone with their cell phones out in this app running. Now, this is giving off a lot more EMF than a normal Saturday night here in Yorktown, where there's a couple people here and there. EMF, as you know, is like an all-you-can-eat buffet for ghosts. As supposedly, theoretically, of course, spirits can manifest from high levels of EMF, and they can use it to maybe appear, maybe communicate with us, maybe some other things that would help stir up the paranormal activity. So we're going to go around to a couple places down here, and we're going to see if the activity appears to be a little bit higher than normal. So come on, let's take a walk down the street here and see what we can find. There's the moon up over the beach there. And it's a little dark on the video here, but a good bit of people walking around with their cell phones out.
Yes, an abundance of people. We've been down here many times at night, on Friday and Saturday nights, and it's never quite this busy. So
Never.
it's got to be this app. Everybody's got their cell phones out. They're all looking around.
Our first stop is going to be Cornwallis Cave, and that's behind me here. You can't see it because it's pretty dark, but we're going to go over there and take a better look at it. And we can't really do an EVP session here because of all the voices. It'll be a little hard to say for sure what might be spiritual and what might be Pokemon Go players. But we're going to go around with an EMF detector, and we may try to get the spirit box going and see if we can pick anything up here. Now, the story with Cornwallis Cave is pretty much that during the siege of Yorktown, townspeople took shelter in there, and long story short, people hear voices coming from inside this cave. They hear screaming, and they think it may be some of the townspeople. That's one of the theories. Some people think the ghost of Cornwallis himself hides out in this cave. We're going to poke around a little bit, see if we can find anything. Come on over here, and let's see what we can find. And if you look, can you see the wall here? You can see the these holes right up here. You can see them. Can you see them through the camera there?
Mm-hmm.
These holes were from the Civil War. They put a little bit of it was kind of a shelter, would you say, that they put out here, and they used it for munition storage, the cave. So that's why those, if any of you have been down here before or seen pictures of this, that's why those holes are here. And the cave itself, if you come around here, we can't go in it any further than this. They put this cage up, too many vandals and kids going in there and smoking weed. There was even rumors that a Satanist cult was meeting in here and doing rituals and left some kind of dark entity behind. Now, how that entity feels about Pokemon Go and all the traffic that's been coming through here, I don't know. But let's break out the spirit box. Let's try that. See if we can get any voices coming through. Because with the spirit box, it's not so much like the EVP sessions, because with the EVP, we got to listen for the voices and make sure that they're not people in the background. With a spirit box, we can tell because it's right here in our hand. We can, clearly hear if a response is coming through to any of our questions or anything like that. So let's check that out.
Okay, so we have the spirit box going here. This is our shack hack that we did.
Yeah.
And we have this running, so we're going to ask a couple of questions like we would in a normal EVP session and see what we can find. Is there anyone hiding in this cave? Now we also have to take into account that this cave may block a lot of the reception from a normal radio antenna, so we may not be getting quite as few stations through as we would normally get. Can you tell us your name?
How do you feel about all these people that have been walking around down here? Does that bother you at all?
Were you a soldier?
Why are you in this cave?
Was Cornwallis a coward? Let's say run.
So we just finished up our spirit box session here at Cornwallis Cave. I did an EMF sweep of the outside of the cave and around the area in front of it and right in the mouth of it. Not a single EMF spike. With the spirit box, there may have been a couple things that came through. We're gonna have to further analyze the recording. Now you may have noticed on the video there were a few orbs that came by, or what looked like orbs. And I do want to point out that these were nothing of a paranormal nature. I saw them as I was recording the viewfinder. I'm not sure how well it recorded it, but they were indeed bugs. There were a couple bugs that came through and they kind of gave that appearance of orbs. So we're gonna wander on down the street here to the next location and see if we can do the same sort of thing and pick up any activity. All right, so we're coming down past the Archer house here, and I think our next destination is going to be right around the corner. Let's go wander up Valley Road a little bit. From our experience, a pretty haunted place down here in Colonial Yorktown. Behind me here is the Great Valley, Valley Road, and Valley Road goes up to Main Street, comes out right in front of the Thomas Nelson house, which is also very, very haunted. Now, it's along this little stretch, and Valley Road, it's not a road that you would think of like a Crawford Road or anything that, you know, is paved. It's just a little path here at this point. But back in the colonial days, it's where they used to bring all the imports, or a lot of the imports. They had a couple roads like this going up, but this was one of the major ones where they brought some of the imports from the ships that were arriving at port. Now, they brought a lot of slaves up here, and this was a very perilous journey for these men and women and children that were taken from the ship, and they were escorted along this road up to the main street. Now, a lot of them had a long, rough journey, and they were near death. Some of them were dragged up this road, and you can not even imagine the agony and what they were enduring, and how this emotion can leave something imprinted on the pages of time. And people have heard the sounds of chains, they've heard voices, they've heard yelling, they've heard screaming, they've heard all kinds of things along this dark road. So we're gonna go around with the EMF detector, see if we get any spikes. And once again, there's too many voices from the Pokemon Go players for an EVP session, but we'll probably break out the spirit box. And so far, no spikes on the EMF detector. It's a rather wide road, and I'm going to kind of zigzag back and forth across it a good portion of the way up, just to see if we can pick anything up.
Spirit box session, Great Valley Road. 19th of August, 2016.
Alright, so we got the spirit box going here.
Yes. Definitely better reception here than we saw in Cornwallis Cave. Is there anyone here with us right now? If there is, can you tell us your name?
Where are you from? How long was your journey here?
Were you brought here in chains or shackles?
How do you feel about all these people walking around with the electronic devices? Okay, I think that might be the camera setting us off.
Probably.
It was just weird because I was holding it. I don't know. I was holding it like in the same position the whole time, and it just started beeping. And now it's not. See? Now it's not.
I see what you're saying.
Like, you know, I wasn't holding it like in a position where it was beeping. It was steady, and then all of a sudden it just started going off. And even when I moved it away from the camera, it was still, you could still, I'm sure if you heard it and you saw it, it was still beeping for a few seconds. I thought it may have been the camera setting it off, but I don't know.
If that was you making our little box here beep, can you make that box beep again?
We finished up on Valley Road, and I have to say that this is one place in Yorktown that to me is probably the creepiest. I've had some experiences here myself and heard from several people who have. You just get a dark, eerie feeling when you're walking down this road. Maybe it's because of what happened here, because of all the negative energy that is left behind. I don't know. Now, when I did my EMF sweep, I went a little ways up the road. I didn't get any spikes. Now, I was sitting there holding the camera, and the EMF detector was pretty close to it, but it wasn't going off by any means. It was completely in the green, and then all of a sudden it spiked twice. I'm going to attribute that to the camera. You know, it's just because I had the camera too close to the EMF detector, it could have very well set it off. I just think it's interesting to note because it was there the whole time, and it just beeped a couple times, and then it didn't beep before that, it didn't beep again after that. And to get it to do it again, I had to put it like right up against the camera. So it was just interesting. There may have been some things that came through on the spirit box. Once again, we got to further analyze the evidence, but Linda did hear, I'm not sure if we're recording at the time or not, Linda did hear what sounded like her name, and then she asked it to say my name, and we heard something pretty close to my name. Did you notice that too? So we're going to have to analyze that and see. Let's get your thoughts on Valley Road.
So, as Jeff said, Great Valley Road is perhaps one of the spookiest places in Yorktown. It is this just path that goes through thick bamboo forests and all the way up to Main Street. It is pitch black up there. There's no way that you can possibly see your hand in front of your face once you get up there. So, and of course the wind as it blows through the bamboo forests on either side of you kind of makes some very strange noises. So it's hard to discern a voice or a whisper from the wind blowing through the bamboo trees. Now on a night like tonight, it is fairly calm. So we might have a little bit better luck on an EVP session normally, but it's just a great road. It's just a great place to come if you're looking for spirits here in Yorktown or even for Pokemon.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Colonial Yorktown, Pokemon Go. Now I have to say, tonight I feel like I'm down here in some kind of like college town.
Yes.
Or some kind of main street that,
Right.
you know, you'd walk around in a big city.
Right.
Yorktown is typically, you know, there's some people late night strollers along the beach, and, you know, some people go to the Yorktown pub at night and stuff like that. But never like this. The parking garage is full. The parking lot that we normally park in with several spots left open is full.
Yes.
There are people walking up and down the street, up and down the sidewalk along the beach. They're out on the pier.
Right. Right.
You know, and they're all over the place.
Yeah.
We didn't even venture up to the main street. And now the main street, Water Street here is more like the main street, I guess, as far as activity with people.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
but I mean, Main Street is actually called Main Street, and it's where all the, you know, historic buildings are and such, or a lot of them. And I'm willing to bet there was a bunch of people up there. So next time we come down, we're going to venture up to Main Street and see what it looks like up there. Now, what are your thoughts?
It was really crazy out here tonight. You know, I'm originally from Yorktown, and so I've been down here even before any of these buildings were here. And it's usually, like you said, a very quiet stroll down the beachfront. And tonight was perhaps the most people I've ever seen here, except for on July 4th when they have a large fireworks display.
Yes, but that's a whole different story. And it's not as many people as July 4th, but it's a lot of people.
It is. It's a lot of people.
And it does make you wonder, what do the spirits think? Because there are spirits here. Ladies and gentlemen, regardless of what anyone says, from my experience and the reports I've gathered, we've gathered as a team, and things that we've heard from locals and different people, Yorktown is probably one of the, if not the most haunted cities in the state of Virginia.
Right.
I mean, there are so many locations around here, so many buildings, so many, you know, roads, and just a plethora, if you will, of haunted locations here in Yorktown, a very haunted city.
Right.
And what does this do to the spirits? What do they think? You know, we're talking about people who died in colonial times, died in the Civil War.
Yes.
And they're sitting here seeing people walk around with these electronic devices. They probably, if they look at them, they see there's like a map on there, and they think they're electronic maps. And they're wondering what in the world everybody's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, making all kinds of noise and stuff. So, is this pissing them off, or is it maybe bringing them out just out of curiosity?
Right.
Or they just, you know, maybe coming out to see, what is that? What are these people doing? Why are there all these people here that aren't normally here? Could the EMF from the phones and from all the electronic devices that people have with them and on them and all the cars and everything else, could that be feeding the spirits?
Helping them to manifest. That's a very real possibility, because you know, the EMF, it's of course, like you said before, all theory, but you know, there's so many spirits here that, you know, why wouldn't they give it a shot if there's all this EMFs floating around and where there normally isn't? So even just the higher EMFs might bring them out of curiosity.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a couple different series of videos on this. Pokemon Go and the paranormal. I don't know if that's going to be the official name of it yet, but it sounds good to me. Because we want to go, Pokemon Go, it takes them out to these historic places.
Right.
I'm not sure exactly why. I don't know, like, as much about the game. I've never played it. I've had some people somewhat explain it to me and show it to me, and I know there's, you know, things you can collect, and of course you can go and catch the Pokemon, and they tend to be at historic locations. I don't know if that's only where they are, but I know they are at historic locations, historic sites, and people have been going out to Arlington and Washington, D.C. Yorktown, of course. Williamsburg, Battery Park up there. You know, our friends told us about Battery Park up there in Old Newcastle in Delaware, where there's a load of people up there. And we're going to go around to some of these locations and do some little videos and short investigations to see what we can find and see what impact this has on the paranormal, if any. Perhaps not. Now, I think next time we come down to Yorktown, we're going to go up to the main street. We're going to look at that. We're going to show you what it is, show you what's up there, and see what's going on with the Pokemon Go game up there. But before we go, let's talk about, did you feel any difference in the activity down here in Yorktown than a normal investigation that we would do.
Actually, I think that, it may have just been the fact that there wasn't as much quiet. There wasn't as much silence and solitude. When you're walking around here, normally it's very quiet. It sort of gives it this sort of eerie feel, I suppose.
Right.
If anything, I would say that right now, with the abundance of people walking around here, it felt far less creepy to me than it normally would have felt. But that being said, that doesn't necessarily mean that there weren't spirits out here walking among us.
Right.
They very well could have been there, but the noise and the sound and the activity that's around here could have very well have been sort of distracting us from what we normally would have felt here, and being kind of creeped out.
Right,
So,
like this guy thumping his bass over here.
right. It's
And you can
definitely
probably not
detracting
even
from
hear
it.
us right
Yeah.
now. But nonetheless, as Linda said, when it's quieter, you can hear more.
Yeah.
When it's darker, you can see more.
Right.
No, it sounds crazy, but in a spiritual sense, if there are spirits, I think we'd be more likely to see them and hear them at night because everything's quieter, everything's calmer, everything's more still.
Yes.
Made it a little more hard to maybe notice if there was anything that's going on. Of course, we do have
Right.
to analyze a little bit. At first glance, it sounded like there was a name or two that may have came across the recorder.
Right.
But we just wanted to come and check it out. And honestly, for this investigation, mini investigations that we did, I didn't notice any difference than I did on a normal night
Right.
down here in Yorktown when
Yeah.
everything's quiet. Like I said, you can hear more, you can see more, of course, then. There were the distractions, there were the people, the noise, the music.
Yeah.
But in general, aside from that, I didn't really notice a big difference.
Right.
So we'll see. But tune in to our next video. I'm not sure if that's what that's going to be, but
Yeah.
subscribe to our channel and you'll find out. If you don't like the video, subscribe anyway.
Right.
They keep getting better, somewhat. So perhaps subscribe. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in coming down and seeing Yorktown and taking a tour of the dark side of Yorktown and hearing about some of the ghosts and such, YorktownGhostWalks.com will be coming soon.
Right.
We have some inside information, and that will be coming soon. So check that out and learn more.
Right.
Until next time, I'm Jeff,
And I'm Linda.
and at Virginia Paranormal Investigations, there's much more to see in the dark.